Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new lecture. Inside of this lecture we're going to be talking about SMT and CSD. In this lecture we're going to be talking about how these two simple concepts will basically fit together to strengthen your view on the market and how the market truly moves. So the number one question I get asked when it comes to SMT is, why didn't this SMT play out? Now in this video I'm going to be basically explaining why this SMT didn't play out, however this one did. Now the answer might be simpler than you think. So first of all, let's go over what actually makes an SMT valid. Well, every SMT that is valid will end up being on the correct side of order flow. Meaning that if you're on the left side of the curve and you're in a buy program, then all of the SMTs on the lows will play out. However, all the SMTs on the highs will get invalidated. So let's take a look at this chart right here. Now, obviously this is a plain chart, you can't really see anything. So let's just put a little bit of makeup on the chart. First of all, I'm going to mark out this CSD, okay? Now, you might be thinking, okay, yeah, looks like a simple CSD. But what you need to understand is quite a few times in the market, you'll get fake CSDs. Meaning that you'll get some sort of displacement below an intermediate term low, and then you'll be thinking, okay, this is a reversal, you enter, and then you'll kind of see price completely ignore that CSD and carry on into that direction. So, in this lecture, I'm going to be talking about how to avoid those sort of scenarios. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of lines in this chart, but I'll break down what each line means. If you see a black line with an X, that basically means that's an SMT that you should be expecting to get invalidated. Now, every single red line, as up here, these are the SMTs that you should be expecting to hold, okay? Now, what you can see, this SMT right here did not hold, right? Now, I want you to think to yourself and put your answer in the comments. Why would this SMT not hold? I'll give you 3 seconds. Well, the answer to this question is, look at where price is drawing to. This red line over here is previous day's high, okay? Now, although ES reached this previous day high, NQ did not. Now, this chart is from Tuesday the 8th of April at 10 AM. So you can go into your charts and backtest this and kind of see this exact chart that I'm showing you right in front of you. ES took previous day's high, however NQ failed to do so. Now, what was our drawn liquidity for this market maker buy model? Or shall we say, the left side of the curve, okay? It was previous day's high. However, NQ failed to take out this previous day's high, so what do we start to do? We make SMT inside the marketplace, and we begin to reverse. But now, what else do you start to see? Well, this is an SMT on the higher time frame, okay? But now on these highs that came just below this previous day's high, what can you see? We started to build SMTs on the highs. But now let's look just below us here. What do we start to see happening? We begin seeing these SMTs get invalidated, okay? Now, what does it start off with? It starts off with this SMT, okay? We run up, create an SMT on the high, and then we invalidate this SMT right here. Now, why is this of importance? Well, if we begin invalidating SMTs on the lows when we're inside of a buy program and we have reached some sort of point of interest or a highly correlated asset has, and we begin seeing signs of a reversal take place, then that's when we start to become cautious, because the chance of a true CSD taking place is becoming extra likely. So now let's blend this chart and this chart together. Now I hope this starts to make sense to you all. The reason why this was a true CSD was because we made SMTs on the lows here. What did this SMT do? It pushed us above these highs right here, but then we began to make SMTs on the highs. Okay, now what did these do? These created a low, okay, no problem. But then what did we do? We ran up one more time and created another SMT. But now this is where the magic takes place, okay? Look at how we reacted to the high. Now this is where ranges also start to come in play. And I hope you start to begin to see how I'm starting to structure these lectures. Every lecture I'm posting has a reason behind it. And I'm starting to lay these lectures one on top of another, so then you all begin to get your foundations of the markets and also your advanced topics inside of one lecture in every single lecture. So now, what do you see? We created SMT on these lows, however, this got smashed through. But now why is this one leg extremely important? Well, first of all, we slammed through this SMT, right? But this is where ranges start to become important. We came above this high right here, but look at what happened. We closed back into not only this range, but the range of this candle. Now, as soon as I see this, this is just one massive red flag because we've got higher time frame SMT. We're inside of a point of interest. We have got lower time frame SMT, and now we're starting to displace below SMTs that should be holding if we're going to remain in the current outstanding order flow. So then, as you can see, this low right here was our true CSD. Now, most people think the only way of spotting an intermediate term low is if it forms inside of a BISI or a SIBI or some sort of imbalance. This is not true. An intermediate term low or high is also determined by, is there two short-term highs and lows to the left and to the right of this low. As you can see, we've made a short-term high here and a short-term high here, making this an intermediate term low. Now this got displaced through, but now where did market retrace up into? Now remember back to one of my previous lectures when I started talking about real order blocks. Look at where we retraced to, right here. You see this one green candle? Look at how price is respecting mean threshold of this order block right here. Now that's an absolute gem right here. Now as you can see, as soon as we slam below this low, what do we then start doing? We begin making SMTs in the highs. Now every single one of these SMTs begins holding, right? This one holds, this one holds, this one holds. As long as we don't start taking out these highs that have SMTs on them, the market will remain in bearish order flow, meaning that any SMTs on the lows will get invalidated and we should completely ignore them unless it's an SMT with our drawn liquidity. Now this is what I was talking about earlier. The CSD determines which SMTs will and won't play out. But then another question arises, right? How do we know what CSD is the real CSD? Now this is how most of you are looking right now, because this is the problem that 90% of people get caught out in. You see the CSD happen, you see that displacement happen below an intermediate term low, you enter, but price just carries on up. Now this is what I'm going to be talking about in a minute. We need to have a high level of confidence that a CSD is real or not. But the number one way of telling if a CSD is real or not is, of course, SMT. So, I'm going to do a little quiz for you guys. I've got two questions lined up and ready to ask you. Now, I want you to put 1 and 2 in the comments and put your answer to both the questions in the comments, okay? And I want to see the percentage of people that got it right and the percentage of people that got it wrong. So this is our first scenario. We are currently inside of a buy program and we are waiting for a CSD to the downside. We get displacement below an intermediate term low, but there is no SMT on the highs. Do we take it? I'll give you all 3 seconds to pause the video and put your answer in the comments. Okay, so I hope you all put your answer in the comments. So the answer to this question is no. SMT tells you when the time is right for us to reverse. If there is no SMT, the time isn't right. Remember, in my previous SMT video, what did I say? I said SMT stands for smart money time. If there is no SMT present, smart money is not selling. It basically tells you that the algorithms are not yet ready to reverse. So now this is our second scenario. We are currently in a buy program and we are waiting for a CSD to the downside, just as our first scenario. We see SMT form on the highs, we have reached our point of interest, and we get displacement below an intermediate term low. Do we take it? I'll give you again 3 seconds to answer this question. Okay, so I hope you all put your answer in the comments to this one, because I'm sure that most of you will be surprised about the answer to this question. So this was actually a trick question. There was no invalidated SMT on the lows, okay? If a CSD is real, we will invalidate SMTs on the way up, and that's how you spot a real CSD. So now let's go back to that first image I showed you, okay? Just because we have these SMTs on these highs, okay, we have 3 SMTs on the highs. Does this mean that this CSD is real? No. The only reason this CSD is a real CSD is because we had an SMT on this low, okay? If we did not have an SMT on this low, this CSD will not be valid. Instead, we need to be using this low, okay? But because we did have an SMT on this low, and we displace below this SMT and this intermediate term low, this makes this exact candle our CSD candle. Once we displace below this candle's low, this creates our valid CSD. Now we can assume that we have had our market structure shift and we are going to start displacing to the downside. So guys, I'm sure you've already heard enough. I've talked about SMT so much, especially on Twitter, on X, that I'm sure your brains are numb to the word SMT. But now I hope this lecture kind of opened up new doors for you, and you're starting to see the importance of SMT and how SMT truly is smart money time. Now, I talk a lot more on SMT and how these algorithms truly book price. Now, if you're interested in learning more, click the link in description and join the Time Vault. I'm also offering free PDFs and free knowledge guides down in the description below. So if you're interested in any of that, click those links. Now, I hope you all learn something new, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.